No fluff, just real-world photo and video samples day and night in an ultimate camera comparison shootout between the brand new Google Pixel 8 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I will be offering my observations and preferences between the two as we go through, but I want this to almost be a community-led test and results situation, with you guys helping to pick the winner. So after you've watched this video, comment below which phone you think performed the best in each of the categories, so we can hopefully help each other with our future purchase decisions. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. So during the Pixel 8 series launch, Google claimed the biggest jump this year with the camera included an upgraded main sensor and a huge improvement to video, with better low-light performance also a key focus. The Pixel 8 series is meant to represent a raised bar to match or even exceed what Apple have done with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But in real-world use, has there been a huge improvement, or is it just launch waffle?
Well, surprise, surprise, it's not a straight answer. But first, what are the cameras packing?
Well, both are triple lens setups, main, telephoto and ultra-wide, and they are on paper very similar, but the devil is in the details. And a lot of the image differences comes down to the image processing due to the combination of the respective chipsets used, data centers available to them, and how each company uses AI, which Google have admitted they've gone very big with this year. And there definitely has been a focus on low light performance, no two ways about it. Firstly, the 50 megapixel primary sensor now has an aperture of f1.7, so it can let in more light than the 7 Pro's f1.9 aperture, and the new larger 48 megapixel ultra wide has obtained a 105% light sensitivity increase and can now capture more details than the 12 megapixel version last year. On top of that, the telephoto lens is also 48 megapixels, can capture 56% more light, and has 5 times optical zoom. From my experience with these specific shots, the HDR is certainly impressive on both, but I feel the Pixel is a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes it absolutely nails shots, great details in the shadows, nice and bright where it needs to be, really crisp, and my preference for sure for certain shots. But in other moments, it can look dull in some shots, but then super bright and possibly overexposed and slightly unnatural looking in others, sometimes struggling with lens flares from bright lights. When it gets it right, it can provide the better of the two shots, but it can also unfortunately get it slightly wrong, which can be less than ideal. The iPhone, on the other hand, seems to be just much more consistent. You kind of know what you're getting. Will it be the best in every shot? No. But will it be consistently very good? Yes. Often bright with vivid colours, sharp focus, pretty natural low light shots too. Although the skin tones, as always with iPhones in my experience, are way too saturated and overly warm. Reddy, orangey hues. I feel like a broken record here, but this has been going on for a number of years now. The colour temperatures, especially in selfies and portraits, just looks a little bit off. It seems so glaringly obvious to me that I can't see why nobody else seems to mention it. And this is very apparent in daytime shots too. Return of the tomato face. The Pixel 8 Pro with its real tone has much greater accuracy on skin tones in my opinion, producing far more natural, realistic selfies and portraits in terms of colour. Again though, with the front-facing selfie camera, however, we do get that inconsistency with the Pixel. Sometimes when it nails focus, it is my favourite image of the two by far, but even with its better mixed lighting performance and faster and more accurate autofocus, apparently, sometimes it can just be a little too soft for no reason. And the trouble is, there's no way of kind of knowing when that will happen. Right, so this is an example of the front-facing cameras on both of the two phones, and the audio as well. So we have 4K 30 we're filming at right now. We also have 4K 60 on both. Let me know what you think about the audio. Which is better? Is the 8 Pro better or the iPhone 15 Pro Max? Now the iPhone does have two things that the Pixel doesn't. That is number one, 4K at 24 frames per second. It has that option as well as the 30 and 60 FPS. But it also has this cinematic blur as well on the front-facing camera. You only seem to get that on the rear on the Pixel 8 Pro, which is a bit of a shame. But it also only has the blur on the rear at 1080p and not 4K like the iPhone as well. But we do have on the 8 Pro the option to go for a 1.4 crop if you wanted that closer image. These are the two styles of video you get using that blur effect, the cinematic mode on the iPhone, and it just says blur on the Pixel 8 Pro. Which one is better in your opinion? Is the 4K resolution very important? Can you get away with the 1080p on the Pixel?
Let me know.
Both are much of a muchness when it comes to slow motion video, with both having options to capture either at 120 FPS or 240 FPS. For the purposes of the video, I have showcased both 120 FPS on the Pixel and 240 on the iPhone, but both can do both.
But before we look at the rest of video, let's take a look at how the two sets of phones handled some really harsh lighting conditions across their total zoom ranges.
Now both phones have 1x, 2x and 5x options, and the 5x is optical for that lossless zoom quality, before ending at 25 times total zoom on the iPhone and 30 times on the Pixel. Now the Pixel's 25x doesn't seem to be quite as close as the iPhone's, so even the 30x is pretty much the same as the iPhone's 25x, and the iPhone does seem to be producing slightly sharper images at the top zoom ranges, especially when looking at things like text. Neither, of course, can get close to the Samsung S23 Ultra with its 10x optical zoom. The iPhone 15 Pro Max does appear to provide, on the whole, brighter and more social media friendly images, you could say, but some would argue the Pixels are more natural. Personal preference here for sure. Both offer excellent dynamic range, with the iPhone dealing generally better with the really bright areas like the sun, but the Pixel probably excels better often with the actual subject of the photo, buildings, cars, etc., which you could argue is more important to get right. By allowing the sun to be slightly blown out on the 8 Pro can give you greater details in the centre of the image, where the iPhone is sometimes slightly underexposed and looking a bit dull. Of course, these are very harsh conditions to test in, and you should always try where possible to have the sun lighting the subject without directly being in the shot. Now the iPhone does have 3 hidden options at the 1x, where you can tap to minor adjust between 24mm, 28mm and 35mm, or 1x, 1.2x and 1.5x. But the Pixel also has a hidden 3x on the portrait mode. The iPhone replaced its own 3x portrait mode seen on the 14 Pro Max with a 5x option, which can produce some stunning results. Really dramatic, and definitely one of my favourite things about the new iPhone camera system. I do wish they kept the 3x option as well, because there's quite a jump between 2x and 5x in portraits. But I suppose this is a subjective area, what sort of focal length you prefer, 3 or 5 times. Everyone will have a different opinion on which suits them best. The 15 Pro Max still struggles slightly with edge detection, especially on non-human subjects, but on human subjects, both are excellent. The 8 Pro can again be slightly inconsistent at times when it comes to the brightness of the image. Sometimes they really pop and sometimes they're a little dull. Often the 15 Pro Max is again more consistent with brightness and again slightly warmer, the reddish tint again very present. And those colour profiles transfer to video too, although slightly more subtle. Both with video have excellent HDR and a wide range of modes and features. 4K 24, 30 and 60 FPS on both, and the only main difference I can see is that the iPhone tends to deal slightly better and very slightly better with stabilization, especially when you're zoomed in. You can just see the slight warping and jerky nature to the Pixel as it tries to deal with movement. And the same can be said in low light too. Both phones do have a stabilization mode, but the Pixel only works at 1080p compared to the iPhone's action mode, which is 2.8K. So this does give the Apple phone the slight upper hand in this department. But Google have a few tricks up their sleeve as well, because they've introduced a video boost mode which should help improve video significantly, claiming it's the best low light video performance on any smartphone. It basically takes every single frame in an individual video and runs it through a similar HDR process to their still images and alters the entire video, designed to really make them pop. When enabled in low light, it also automatically records using Google's impressive night sight mode, and it does look pretty awesome. It should definitely give the iPhone a run for its money. The trouble is, it's a coming soon feature, which we've seen all too present in a lot of manufacturers' launches these days. And while that is a little bit disappointing, there are a lot of these types of features that Google will be able to draw on that should enhance your photos and videos dramatically. Things like Audio Magic Eraser, which can improve audio by using machine learning, and the Tensor G3 chip to sort through different types of video sounds in your videos and place them into layers for you to edit in post. Voice, wind, dogs barking, an alarm maybe, these can all be raised or lowered afterwards to make the video sound just as impressive as the visuals look. You also have the Magic Eraser, where you can do fairly simple things by today's standards anyway, like erase objects that you don't want in a photo, but also using AI you can reposition subjects in your image and alter backgrounds. Like, is anything real anymore? That doesn't matter as long as it looks good on Instagram, right? There's also Best Take, which may take your group shots to a whole new level, allowing you to take a series of group photos and swap in and out different facial expressions of different people so you can pick the best image of everyone and put them all into one photo. Because you always take 100 photos and there's always one and a different person each time which decides to blink or look away, and every single photo is ruined by somebody. Now you can just get them all together in that perfect shot. This is a great idea. Google has understandably always been industry leading when it comes to camera software, and features like this could really be a real reason to go for the 8 Pro. The iPhone camera app is by far the most simple, clean, straightforward and reliable to use, and this is something that I think often gets overlooked. But there does seem to be more customization and kind of just fun, unique options on the Pixel, like action pan and long exposure modes, etc. And the new Pro Controls feature, where you can adjust things like focus, shutter speed and ISO, is a move slightly more towards a Sony camera phone type of vibe, and certainly something you don't get with the iPhone. So for those that want maybe slightly more control and customization over the shots you want to take and a more pro experience, you actually might be better going with the Pixel 8 Pro. If you just want to kind of point and shoot and just want that reliability that it's going to do kind of what you want every time, you might be better going with the iPhone. Both are ultra phones when it comes to camera performance, and both have impressive ultra-wide lenses too. Hard to tell them apart massively here, but the Pixel is ever so slightly wider at 126 degrees to the iPhone's 120, but which do you think produces the best shots? Both phones can also switch automatically to a macro mode if required, and again, both can produce some really cool images. So which do you think has the best camera? Is it the iPhone 15 Pro Max or the Google Pixel 8 Pro? Both new phones, both great cameras, but which is the best? Let me know in the comments and tell me why if you want to go into detail. Why not? If it helps people make their decisions, then I'm all for it. My name's Adam, you be the best as always. Make sure you follow me on my other social medias, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, all ASBYT official, for all that kind of short form content that seems to be all the rage these days. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. It's ASBYT, peace out.